All right, grace and peace to the body that is the church. I pray you guys have a good Christmas Eve and Christmas Day with your family. Pray that the Lord blesses you guys and enjoy your time. So this is going to be a short video, and you'll have to excuse. I may have to cough every now and then. I'm still, after over 2 weeks, getting over this cold that has been going around, or this flu, whatever it is definitely a tough one. But I'm going to be responding to some comments that have been made on a YouTube video and on my community posts. I feel it's better. It's a better way to respond, as I do not like typing on my phone that much. And so after this video, I might do another one a little later where I do the prep. This can be a pre-debate review video. But with that being said, let's share my screen. All right. Okay. So the video that this happened on is by Answering Adventism. The video is entitled "Explained What is Hades, Hell, and Sheol." And here is the comment interaction that I had on here. So Advent Defense Lead made the original comment. He said, "Miles, why don't you just have this conversation with us face to face, mano a mano? What do you say?" Now, let it be noted that, and this will be relevant when I go over another comment interaction that I had. But Advent Defense League, so Edwin came on here on Miles' video and challenged him, or asked for this conversation to happen face to face between him and them. Okay, so he came to Miles. Miles didn't challenge him. So that'll be relevant in a little bit. And so I made the comment, I've asked Dr. Thomas, who is on the Advent Defense League. You'll see him in a number of their videos. His name is Jason, I believe. And his YouTube channel name is That Nice Kid. I said, I've asked Dr. Thomas to have a mano conversation about Daniel 8 for some time. It's never happened, with the little thinking emoji. Now, Edwin did make a comment that showed up for a little while and then it disappeared. Now, whether this is the YouTube channel itself deleting that comment, which I don't think that's what it is. YouTube does this a lot to me. So it was probably YouTube either messing up or just glitching or whatever it is. But Edwin said, "This is the second time I replied to you. It seems like my replies are getting blocked. Can you see this reply?" I said, "Yes, I can, but I'm busy at work," which I was. And then this person said, "Don't have a conversation with Miles. He seems set in his ways," as if the SDAs, like this individual and Edwin, are not set in their ways. Only the Holy Spirit can change him, which is interesting coming from their position. For someone to be against one denomination like this instead of the Catholic Church system. Well, here's the issue, is that almost nobody has focused on Adventism, and now that Miles' channel came out, which was a blessing, they have not had much attention focused on them. So it's been a long time coming for somebody to do this, and so they find it probably like irritating and annoying. Seems to come from a personal place rather than a non-personal. You see, this is what they always do, and this happens in my personal life as well too, is, well, you left Adventism for a emotional reason, not a theological doctrinal reason. They always do this. Anyway, may God guide you all. God bless. All right. And so here's the relevant part. This individual, John Valdez, which I should have tagged him in this video now that I think about it. John Valdez tagged me and said, "Don't chicken out against the Advent Defense League." Instead of probably he means going around saying lies. I found that interesting. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm thinking in my head, what do you mean saying lies? What kind of lies are you talking about? And then he says, when? I don't know what he meant by that, but and then I responded to him and said, would you like to defend the SDA interpretation of Daniel 8 tonight? That was last night. He said, what exactly in Daniel 8? Now remember, he told me not to chicken out. I said, it'll cover the whole chapter by necessity, but we will discuss the 2300 not being years. I'll set it up for 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time tonight, which was last night. You and I will discuss Daniel chapter 8. And he didn't respond for a little while, so I said, sound good? Question mark. And then Adrian said, please do it. Sola is a good guy. I said, I appreciate you. I have a feeling he won't, but I pray I am wrong. Now, notice 2 hours. I responded to John Valdez again. He has not said a single word. I remember he told me, don't chicken out. Okay. I said 2 hours and we will go live to talk Daniel 8. Are you still up for it? Now I didn't see some of these comments in my phone, but he said, excellent point to a comment that was here, but it's gone on the screen. Adrian said, yes, my comment gets hidden. Why? What's wrong with it? At least I know you saw it. It's still there. It's still there. Just that's how YouTube, sometimes your own comments, you can't see them. This person said, are you sure you can do that? I've seen your work. You're not up to it. I don't know if he's talking about me. If he is, then I'd be interested to know what he's referring to. If he's referring to somebody else, I'm going to say, who are you talking to? Question mark. Okay, so that interaction happened where this SDA told me, John Valdez told me not to chicken out against the Advent Defense League, which I'm not. I mean, if they all want to come on, I guess that's fine. But I was wanting to talk to Jason specifically because he has a good nature about him. And he seems really easy to talk to. He's not prideful like Edwin or boastful like Edwin or very aggressive. Because when people tend to be that way, the conversation ends up becoming an attack and defense rather than an actual conversation. And rather Jason, with his mentality of being more calm, collected, not aggressive, the conversation will be really fruitful. And in the end, that's what I want, is a fruitful conversation, not a defense and attack one where we're butting heads the whole time. Which that's what you'll get with Edwin. And I'll show this even more here. So give me 1 second. I'm going to stop screen sharing. Grace and peace to you, servant of Christ, and also the chartologist, specifically the Baptist. All right, let me present my second screen. All right. So this is going to be the next comment section interaction that I had. Now, this individual right here was an SDA who said he was willing to have a live conversation. And I was very sick when I was interacting with him. And it took me a couple days to get back to him because I was just not feeling like being on the screen at all. And when I responded back to him, he never responded. And so I tagged him on here and he never responded. And so it could have been my fault because it took me a couple days to respond to him, which it's all good. It's all good. But that individual did accept and said he would have a live conversation on Daniel chapter 8. Now, let's see. This live might be happening here after I get done with this, after I do a couple of things. Now, here is the next interaction. Now, this community post, I said maybe at that nice kid 04, which is Dr. Jason Thomas, the one I want to have interaction with. Maybe he'll give me a Christmas present and go live with me to discuss Daniel chapter 8 and why the 2300 cannot be years and why it can't start in 457 BC. For those who do not know, Dr. Jason Thomas is on the Advent Defense League and they defend Adventism. Now, very clearly, it's a light-hearted community post because I say, will he give me a Christmas present? So clearly I'm being light-hearted with it, with this community post, and this will be relevant here in a second. Now, also for context, in the past, I don't know, maybe 4 months, I've tagged him about 2 other times, maybe 2 other community posts, 1 or 2 in the past like 4 or 5 months, and I asked him for conversation. He never responded. All right, so here's the conversation. I said, we will see if he is a nice kid or a mean kid. Just, again, a lighthearted joke, nothing serious. And you'll see why I make that. And then Chris commented, laugh out loud, because I thought it was funny. And I liked that comment. And then Edwin here responded on this community post because on the video I just showed, the comments were going through. They were acting up because of YouTube. He said, I have posted this several times on Miles' video, replying to you, and it keeps disappearing. So I'm posting it here with some minor edits. It's all good. Cool. He said, I'm passing on your message to Jason, which I appreciate that. Now, this is going to show why I have no interest in talking with Edwin. This is his personality. He likes to butt heads. He likes to try to be dominant. He's competitive. And at this point in time, I did that a lot in the past. I have no real desire to converse with somebody who is like that. And I have talked with Edwin live in the past. And it was not, we weren't yelling at each other. We weren't, calling names, but his personality is where he likes to be dominant in the conversation. He likes to always be right, and he likes to be competitive. And that tends to lead to button heads and the conversation not really going that well. Whereas, as I said before, Jason has a different personality and he is easy to talk to, and it would be a very good, fruitful conversation, which is what I want. Now he says, I see you keep trying to provoke him to a debate, which is not a debate. I asked for conversation, not a debate. You can look at the original post here. It says to discuss Daniel chapter 8, just a discussion, a conversation. Now he used the word provoke, and this is what Edwin does, right? There's no provoking someone tends to have a negative connotation to it, where you're trying to rile them up, get them to get emotional and maybe angry and aggressive, and so they will accept your challenge. Whereas this is not a challenge, it's asking another individual who believes that the 2300 are years, and I do not. It's asking him to have a conversation about that. That's all that this is. That's all that any of my posts have been towards Jason. But he needs to paint this in a negative light because I am a critic, and for Edwin, all critics have to be bad and have to be evil. And they are the defenders of truth and light and God's word. And the critics are the workers of iniquity and workers of Satan. So they, by nature, they have to be evil and wicked, and they have to provoke and challenge and be the aggressors. Whereas the Advent Defense League are the defenders. Although, if you remember earlier on in the video I showed you, Edwin was the one who went 2 miles on his video and challenged him or asked for a discussion. If I was to use Edwin's language, Edwin went on to Miles' video and provoked him to a debate. So it's interesting that Edwin can do that, and it's not provoking Miles, and it's not being an aggressor. But if I do it in a lighthearted way where I joke, then it's aggressive, it's provoking, and I'm the aggressor. He said, if that is what you want, we will do it. No, notice he said we. I didn't ask for a we, I asked for Jason. And I've already said the reason why. Now, there are other people in Advent Defense League. The younger gentleman, I would be willing to talk to as well, too. He seems to have a good nature about him. Very easy to talk to. The other gentleman, I don't watch a lot of their videos. He seems to be fine. He doesn't seem to be overly aggressive. He seems to be more quiet and mellow. So I don't mind talking with people like that, because the conversation tends to go well when they're like that. He says, we periodically open a program called Challenge an SDA. So we will plan to invite you on and make you the exclusive invitee. So notice how it went from me wanting to have Jason on my channel to discuss, chapter 8, to him saying I have to go onto his channel for Challenge and SDAs, and it's exclusive to me. And I didn't ask for any of that. I'm not interested in talking with Edwin, as I've already stated the reasons why. He says, second, you and I started a discussion once on the topic of the Sabbath. We met over a video conference, if you recall, but it never went anywhere. I'd be happy to continue that discussion with you as well. CMB, who is an ex-SDA, who is my friend, started a discussion with me once about the covenants, but it was in writing in my ADL Facebook group. For some reason, though, he disappeared and left the group. Do me a favor and ask him why for me. My original post was for Miles. I'm surprised you can see my comment. Usually it's blocked, and I have multiple ways to confirm that. I have no clue about that. I can neither confirm nor deny that. I do not talk to Miles personally. I do know that YouTube very consistently does not work properly for me. My own comments, sometimes even on my own page, will disappear, and I have trouble finding them, and it takes a while for them to reappear. Sometimes they don't. Multiple times on people's videos that I am subscribed to, my comments will disappear and they won't come back, and I have to make them multiple times. So I understand that he thinks it's Miles deleting them, and maybe some of them were. I have no idea. He said, Miles loves making videos about ADL with his buddies, but will block me, ignore me, and refuse to talk to me. At one point saying I'm too mean for him to waste his time with me. Go figure, as he did on his video about the emails. Now, Edwin, I would recommend you have some self-reflection. And this is not, Miles definitely can get overly aggressive and emotional. And I pray that he reins that in. Because with Adventists, that tends to push them away. They tend to be overly emotional and sensitive. So I pray Miles does fix that. But you, sir, Edwin M. Cotto, you definitely need to have some self-reflection. You are definitely overly aggressive. You like to butt heads. You do not like to have conversation. You like to have debates. You like to dominate conversations. You like to be the winner no matter what. And if that's the case, it is what it is. It doesn't hurt my feelings. It doesn't scare me away. It just does not lead to tends to not lead to a fruitful discussion, which I am not interested in having a conversation with somebody like that at this moment in time. I want to have a fruitful discussion where we converse back and forth on the topic, because the SDA who listens to that will receive that all day, every day, as opposed to us button heads. And so If any of the other three individuals on your team, Mr. Cotto, want to have a conversation with me on Daniel chapter 8 on my channel, it will be respectful, it will be pleasant. We'll have time to speak. We won't be speaking over one another that much. If that does happen, not a big deal. It'll be a good conversation. Now, I'm not sure why he's telling all this about Miles. I'm not really that interested. He says, and yet he keeps producing videos about ADL. Why? Well, because you guys are, now let's be honest, right? Your channel, Advent Defense League, was a dead channel. It was a dead channel before Miles came along and created his channel called Answering Adventism. It was only after Miles came on and he became popular that you decided to hop on your channel and make it a live channel again. And then you started calling him out. You started making lots of videos addressing him. So naturally, since you are the loud and vocal ones on YouTube addressing him, he is going to be referring to you guys a lot. That just makes sense. I would even, if, well, listen, why he won't have this discussion live is beyond me. I don't know. I can't answer that for him. But if that's going to continually be his modus operandi, I suppose we will continue to respond in videos to him as he thinks he's doing to us, right? I made the comment, provoke makes it seem negative, which it does, but I know why you used that word. And again, I explained that. I'm asking to have him come on my channel. If he wants to, then he is welcome. If not, then no worries. I'm not interested in going on your channel for now, at least. He says, I will tell him you want him on your channel instead, but I'll advise him not to do it unless it's on our channel. Of course you won't, because you want to dominate the conversation. You want to control it. I personally don't trust any critic, but I personally don't trust you. So I'm not conversing with you. I'm conversing with Jason. I have shown I've given you zero reason not to trust me, especially with what you did to me in the past. I've given you zero reason to think I will be evil, behave evil or wickedly towards him in a live conversation. There's nothing you have to show this with my behavior. Nothing. But of course, because there are other critics who do behave bad towards you guys, you think that then that encompasses every critic's behavior, which is a foolish assumption on your part, but maybe a smart one, because then he won't come on my channel and have this discussion. And I do think if we have this discussion, the 2300 years will be exposed as not being legitimate, and that's an issue for you guys. Actually, that's a huge issue for Adventism, because if they're not years, then there is no Adventism ultimately. Oh, excuse me. My mic was muted. Oops, sorry. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, grace and peace to you, Chris. It's good to see you, brother. Um, let's see. I hopefully it wasn't muted for too long. I'll just go over this again. He said, I went back, saw that many times you kept tagging him, calling him out. Well, it wasn't many times. It was just like 3 times in the past like 6 months. But even if it was once a month, they weren't negative, they weren't aggressive. It was just saying, hey, let's have a conversation. Are you up for it? So he said, so yes, it is provoking a debate. No, it's not provoking. Provoking is negative, where I want to get him angry and emotional. So he'll say yes. And I'm not looking for a debate. I'm looking for a discussion, not a debate, a discussion, a respectful discussion where truth can be shown. He said, we have a policy, which is weird, right? That we don't look for debates. He wasn't looking for a debate, so that is irrelevant. I asked him for a conversation because I like the way he conducts himself and the way he talks. It's not aggressive, it's not mean, it is kind, it is calm. And so you can engage each other very well in that kind of environment. Whereas with Edwin, as I pointed out many times, and you can see in his responses here, he is very aggressive. He likes to dominate conversations. He likes to control them. He likes to win. He likes to be the one who's always right. And that just is not something I'm looking for right now. He says, we let them come to us, which is interesting because I did come to him, right? I'm the one who asked him. I said, Jason, you want to have a conversation? He didn't come to me. But you did go on Miles' channel and challenged him to a conversation on your channel. So you did go to him. Even if the video was about you guys, you still went to him and said, let's have this conversation live. There's no difference between that and what I'm doing. I'm simply saying, hey, Jason, let's have a conversation. He says, that way we feel confident with the Lord. We aren't the ones looking for trouble. See, again, he has to make it negative, right? If you paint me as a villain where I'm provoking, I'm trying to make him angry, I'm trying to debate him, I'm looking for trouble, you paint me to your followers in a negative light. So that way, their preconceived notion about me is a negative one, and they won't listen to what I have to say. I was not looking for trouble. Jason was not looking for trouble. There is no negativity here. It is just asking for a conversation. He says, when we have to engage in a debate, we didn't provoke. Again, I'm not provoking. I'm asking for a conversation. If I was to walk by him on the street, I would say, hey, Jason, let's have a conversation about Daniel chapter 8. Are you interested? Would he say, well, no, Edwin has a policy that I can't look for debates, so I can't do it? Or would he say, sure, let's sit down and have that conversation? If he said, sure, let's do it, that is no different than what I'm doing here on YouTube. No difference. So it's interesting that you're trying to keep him from coming on my channel. Because if you were confident about the 2300 being years, this is a win-win situation for him to come on my channel. Because you have more content to show that you guys are right and I'm wrong. Or if I do behave wickedly and evil, you have more content for your channel to show your followers that the critics are indeed evil. All of them. They behave wickedly. It's a win-win for you guys, but for some reason you don't want him to come on here. Interesting. Because of some policy, some goofy policy you have, which he wasn't even looking for a debate. It doesn't make sense. We don't want to be the quarrelsome one. See, so again, another negative thing. I'm being quarrelsome now, which I'm not being quarrelsome. Nothing quarrelsome about what I'm doing. I'm not being mean. I'm not being aggressive. I'm not provoking. I asked. And again, if I was asking in a live situation where I walked by him on the street, would he say, well, no, you're being quarrelsome for asking me to have a conversation, so I can't do it? As it says in your channel description, ADL is on the defense, not the offense. He said, you didn't reply to me about our past Sabbath debate. How come? Because I'm not interested in having a conversation with you. if I happen to have a conversation with one of the other three gentlemen, or even all three of them, how about this? All three of the gentlemen on your panel, Mr. Edwin Cotto, I forget the other two gentlemen's names, I apologize, but Jason and the other two guys, the young one and the older one, all three of them can come on my channel and we can discuss Daniel chapter 8. I'd even be up for that. They all seem to have a good spirit about them. They can converse in a calm, kind, respectful manner, and there won't be anybody in the of heads. It'll be good. So we can do that. How about that? If you don't want Jason alone to come on my channel, all three of them can come on. That's fine with me. I don't mind that. I said, again, provoke is negative, which it is. I have done nothing to make it seem negative, which is true. There's nothing that I've done to make it seem negative. So you'll see what he points to say I'm making it negative, which is grasping at straws. Simply tagging him to ask for a discussion is not negative, which is very true. But I do understand why you need it to be negative. Yes, he needs it to be negative because for his followers, he needs all critics to be bad, evil, wicked, depraved individuals who hate Adventists. That's what he needs, because then they will have that preconceived notion about any critic. Any person that Edwin says is a critic, they will already have that preconceived notion about that individual that they are wicked. It's a smart tactic on his part, but it's deceptive and it's not accurate all the time. He says, if you don't want to believe it's negative, as if it's a belief thing, that's fine. It's not negative. I have not been negative once. He says, it's provocation nonetheless. No, it's not. But it's not simply asking him. Yes, it is. When you're both posting invites, and I'm not sure who he says both. I'm not sure who he means by both. It says when you're both posting invites and tagging him multiple times. Again, it was like 3 times in the past 6 months. It was not that many times. So then he says, then you want to be obnoxious. So here again, another, see this, hopefully you see it by now, how Edwin is and the way he talks and why people just don't want to have a conversation with him, because he's not easy to talk to. If I do it, I have to be in the right mood, or else he just annoy me and just, I don't want to do it. But he says, I'm being obnoxious about it in a comment saying, now this is how I'm being obnoxious. Listen, we will see if he is a nice kid or a mean kid. Excuse me. He says, we'll see if, so he's referring to my comment that I made on the post, which I thought it was funny. I thought I was being funny. Apparently not. Apparently that being funny once in a while is being obnoxious, which there are Adventists. I make this point here in a minute. I'll just wait. But he says, the way I'm being obnoxious in the comments is I make this comment right here. And then also I'm liking Chris's laughter, which apparently Chris thought it was funny. And so I liked that comment because he thought my comment was funny, which is supposed to be a joke. It's a joke. He takes a joke, a mild joke that I said, as being obnoxious and provoking and being negative. So you see why people don't want to talk to Edwin. If Edwin was not in the picture, I would go on Advent Defense League probably. And he says, all that is supposed to be positive, question mark. Yeah, there's nothing negative about a joke like that. A very mild, lighthearted joke. You're just grasping at straws to make me seem like the wicked one who's being evil. He says, critics can't even admit they are being provocative negatively when they are being provocative negatively. No, I'm not. There's nothing you've got, sir. With all due respect, you're grasping at straws to make me seem wicked and evil when I'm not. But I understand why you need me to be. He says, hence why I wouldn't trust them on their channel. So he needs, notice how he says, their channel. He's lumping me in with the bad behavior of some critics, which there is bad behavior of some critics. He's lumping me in with them and grasping at straws, saying my lighthearted joke and me tagging him 3 times, roughly 3 times in about 6 months, is me being negative and provoking and being wicked and evil. He said, you can pretend I'm not pretending. It's very obvious to anyone that you do need it to be negative, because if I'm not being negative, if I'm being positive, if I'm being nice, if I'm being making lighthearted jokes to, make it seem more welcoming, that I'm not going to be mean and aggressive to him. If I'm actually doing that, then you have no excuse not to let Jason come on my channel. And if that happens, then the 2300 will be exposed. But anyone who can read can see what you did there. Yeah, they are more than welcome to come on and read the whole conversation, read the whole thing. And actually, I hope they listen to this video as well, too. Still not going to refer to the other stuff I wrote in my comment. No, not interested in conversing with you. You've shown why very clearly. I said nothing provoking about a joke. Nice try. Also, nothing provoking about tagging him probably about 3 times over multiple months to ask for a friendly conversation. You are being hypercritical, which he is, being very hypercritical, just to be right. I make a single joke and it's quote unquote being obnoxious, but you got an SDA running around here cracking jokes 24/7, and we know who that is. And that's not being obnoxious, I take it. So in other words, he won't tell this SDA that cracks jokes like 24/7 nonstop on YouTube that he's being obnoxious and provoking. But if I do it one single time, then it's being negative, is provoking, is being obnoxious. Notice the double standard there. He goes, yeah, you got jokes. Well, it's just one joke, sir. Maybe you should start joking around a little bit. It'll lighten your spirit a little bit. I said, believe what you want, bud. It was just one joke, Edwin. You got to calm down a little bit, bud. There's no reason to be overly aggressive towards people who are not being overly aggressive towards you. You can calm down. You can recognize that you're just wrong in this situation, and it's all good. I'm not going to rub it in your face. It doesn't matter to me. Anyway, I'll pass him the message. Thanks for totally ignoring everything else I wrote in my first comment. Yeah, I'm not interested in having a conversation with you. That's why. And that was the end of that conversation. Now I have a feeling he's not going to let him come on and have a conversation with me, which is kind of disappointing because, excuse me, that would be good content because it would have somebody who a lot of SDAs look up to. It would be a good conversation where we would expose the 2300 as not being years. And if that is the case, that it's not years, then Adventism falls ultimately. So that is the end of my review of different YouTube comments. Grace, peace to you, Kevin. Good to see you. Merry Christmas to you as well. With that being said, I'm gonna end this live stream, and I might have another one coming up a little later where I lay out some Ellen G. White comments as a precursor to a review of a debate that happened on Miles's channel called Answering Adventism. If I do that, then it'll be kind of a boring one, to be honest with you, but it'll be a necessary one because what the Adventist was saying was just wild. So with that being said, grace and peace to everybody who listened. I appreciate your time. I'm thankful that you came on here. And if I don't speak to you guys again, Merry Christmas to all of you, and have a good time with your family. And even if you don't celebrate Christmas, still enjoy the time with your family. They are precious. They are a gift from God, and enjoy them. God bless.